This is Becoming a Professional Bass Player. My name's Deborah and this is the video journal of my career transition. So we haven't caught up since the gig. It went really, really well, thanks for asking. Often after these gigs, Caroline and I sit and have a debrief. What could we have done better? What would we have changed? And there are a few minor things, but really it's getting to the point where it's minor. So the sound was top notch. Certainly out the front, you know, the audience members commented on how good the sound was, all the costumes and the special effects. People had a wonderful time and it really came off very, very well. Ticket sales were good. I was really, really happy. So there are a few things that I need to change for next time, but they really are minor now. And the main thing is that Divine Funk needs to be in a much wider room so that we can bring the audience in and immerse them. This room was a bit too narrow and they ended up at the end of the room. So we'll change that for next time. And the other thing was the room was a bit too low. The ceiling was a bit too low. So our Barbie rocket couldn't get the top up. But again, that's just, we made do without that and we worked around it. It's just something to bear in mind for next time. And I was kicking myself about that. I was thinking, oh gosh, why didn't you check that out? But then I caught a hold of myself and I thought, hang on, Deborah, this is not something that people are immediately successful at doing after 3 live gigs, 3 live shows. You know, this is something that people spend years, decades working at. So to be at this level of accomplishment at this stage is really great going. The guys sang beautifully. Just the audience had a wonderful, wonderful time. I had so many good reviews, a 10 out of 10. Somebody else said it was like being on an acid trip without taking any drugs, which is what I sort of wanted to create, if you remember. You know, Studio 54, but without the cocaine and the desperation. Somebody else was saying that had attended said to me yesterday, oh, you know, I was so surprised. Just as I was concentrating on one thing, something else would happen and then something else. And it was always surprising and different and new. And the songs, gosh, you know, I didn't think I'd hear a bit of Steely Dan and I didn't think I'd hear that paired with Barbie. So just sort of lots of lovely, unusual pairings. Interesting, you know, we're not writing our own music. These are all covers, but it's how we do them, how we put them together, the scenery that we put them together with. Unfortunately, our cold spark machines didn't work. That was another thing. So I might be looking at investing in some of those to make sure that I've always got those under my belt. But it went, I really couldn't have asked for it to go much better than it did, to be honest with you. And I think it's safe to say that we have a success on our hands. And we now need to look at selling that in the new year. And it's the next phase now. The next phase, you know, the beginning bit is done. And the next part of the work is hopefully going to involve a lot more bass playing for me, a lot more being on the phone and talking to venues, but a lot more bass playing. We've got our Truly Red promo shooting on the 25th of January, so we've got to get that in the can. And over the Christmas holidays, I'm going to be picking up my beloved 6-string and practicing some bass lines just because I want to get better at them. And one of the ones I've chosen to start with is Everybody Dance by Nile Rodgers and Chic, because I happened to see a video on YouTube by a guy called Dan Hawkins. Check his videos out because he explains things really beautifully, really well. And, you know, everybody dance. Everybody dance. Ooh, clap your hands, clap your hands. Now, the bass line to that is doing something really quite cool and complex. It's quite distinctive. You'll remember it goes, what was it? So this is the bass line very, very slowly from Everybody Dance by Chic. And what Dan Hawkins in his base video is suggesting that you do, or suggesting that Bernard does, is to use your thumb and forefinger like a plectrum with your nail. So that's what I'm going to be spending my time doing, really doing it slowly and then moving it up quicker. Getting that chugging sound, but without the hum, not touching any of the other strings. That's the plan. That's what I'm going to be working on over the Christmas holidays. The other thing that I'm doing is tomorrow I'm going to see the Marie Antoinette exhibition at the V&A Museum with my very dear friend Vicky, and I'm thinking that might provide some costume inspiration I really want to do in our next gig. So this is a real impetus to sell a gig in, because I really want to do a masquerade ball as part of Divine Funk. But, you know, I can't really justify creating that unless we've got somewhere to play, and I can't ask the guys to play again until they're being paid. So that's the order in which things must proceed. There's also lots of lovely props that we want Martha to make. And Caroline and I've got so many ideas that we just have to have a gig so that we can do these. So that's where I'm at. And I'll catch up with you in a few days' time, and we'll see where I've got to with Everybody Dance by Chic. Take care. Bye-bye.